Should you go by the Amanda West?
Yeah, yeah.
I like it. Hi, Internet. It's Dale. I have a fresh guest. Someone who's never been on Outrage Factory before. And 5 years, 6 years we've been doing this. The Amanda West came by because Derek's, I don't know, being a high school girl in Italy. Remember in high school when all the girls would go to Greece and Italy? That was like their big bucket list thing.
My parents didn't let me go. I got to go to Ashland and watch the Shakespeare Festival instead. I wasn't allowed to travel.
Oh, poor you. Just had to watch wow. Actually, for me, that would have been torture because I fucking hate Shakespeare.
I
I
loved
don't
it.
know. I don't know if I hate Shakespeare because I hate Shakespeare or if I hate Shakespeare because high school idiots kept quoting and talking in Shakespearean and it annoyed me.
It's probably the trauma from the high school, I think.
Totally valid trauma. I mean, I'm not belittling anyone's real trauma or anything. So that's a nice shirt you got there.
Thanks. Nice shirt you got there too, Dale.
Oh, thanks. Who would have known that we would both be wearing what? Teal with pink flamingos? That's great.
You planned it. I love it. It's perfect.
I'm actually wearing a muscle shirt because it's wishful thinking. Now that the heat's no, just kidding. I'm glad the heat's gone. But it's because I got a fresh tat.
Let's see this. Whoa.
It's a dinosaur shooting a laser beam.
Okay.
And I don't know. I was like debating whether to show it off or not, but it was like I wore the tank top because the sleeve comes right through the middle of it and it was rubbing. And I thought it would just be like I would be like the whole podcast being like touching and rubbing it and stuff. So also I wanted to show the ladies my shoulders.
Nice shoulders, Dale.
Get a good view of that.
Been lifting, I can tell.
Lifting coffees. All right. So it's funny because we haven't done a podcast in about 3 weeks. And if you take out COVID news, nothing really has happened since then. Like, it just seems like it's annoying because you don't want to talk about COVID because that's all you talk about. It's all we're dealing with. But that's all that's going on in the news is like dipshits doing stuff. People being angry, anti-vaxxers being complete idiots. Joe Rogan drinking ivermectin and then people getting all butthurt about it. So yeah, I guess what we can do is we could talk about some COVID stuff because otherwise it would just be that guy who sued his parents for $30,000 for wrecking his porn. Actually, let's start there. Let's start on the non-COVID.
I'm not familiar with this story. Give me the recap.
Okay, so I'm just gonna open it up now. It has been a couple weeks since I read it. So what happened was this guy got divorced.
Okay.
Why are you doing this to me, computer? He got divorced and then he had to move. He's like 40, I think. He's like in his late 30s, early 40s. I'll pull up the article so I could tell you exactly, since that's stuff we want. He was 43. So
okay. Moving home with his parents. All right.
David working it to all his $30,000 worth of porn. So let's see. It's in Western Michigan. A judge has ordered a Western Michigan couple to pay $30,000 to their son for getting rid of his pornography collection. That's pretty extensive.
Like, what kind of collection? Like, does physical porn still exist?
Apparently, I'd imagine there's a bunch of sex toys in there.
Oh,
and if I were to wager, because that's only a year older than me, he's 43, I'm 42. If I had $30,000 worth of porn in, I think, here, let me see if they break it down. Because I heard someone talking about it. Because in one article, they had a breakdown of what was in it. It was like 5 boxes. Okay, they don't have a breakdown in this, but it was like, I think it was 2 boxes of toys and 3 boxes of like DVDs and magazines and stuff.
Oh, wow.
But like that's more than a fleshlight and a Indiana Jones DVD.
Yeah, that's a lot of pornography. I wonder if there was any like vintage Playboys or something like actually worth money in there, or if it's just
I
a lot of
hope
dildos.
so. I hope there was like one $29,000 vintage Playboy and the rest of the stuff together was worth $1,000 because if there wasn't and it was like because like the sex toys when you get up to like the expensive ones like the butts like the molded butts and stuff or like the torso of a real doll or something like that's just creepy like maybe he had like this torso of a real doll in a box and he just like took it out and like did what adults do with torsos of real dolls,
I
had
mean,
sex with it.
he should have just left that and not brought it into his parents' house. Like, put it in storage until you can do that, not at your mom's house.
Yeah, like I get that like you have a hard divorce, you break up with your wife, maybe you give her the house, her and the kids the house. I don't know if there's kids involved in this. And then you move in with your parents till you can like get it yourself on your feet again. But maybe rent a storage locker for your porn. Like if I had $300 worth of porn in one box, the last thing I do is put it in my mom's house because everybody's parents snooped, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not just a me and this guy's parents thing. Like if you go to your parents' house and you're like, here's 5 boxes, it's my porn, don't look at it. Like as before your car's at the end of the driveway, they're fucking cutting the tape on those boxes.
Oh, for sure.
And oh, like I was saying before, I'm pretty sure this is why his marriage failed. If he has like a real doll torso in a box, which again, I don't know if he did. That's just what I'm guessing.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a fleshlight and then there's a torso. It's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Amanda, here, how about this? You're married to a guy.
Yeah.
He has 5 boxes of porn.
Cool.
You open them because you're his wife and you should know what you got to find out if he's a serial killer, if he just has heads in boxes.
Well, I hopefully already know this before I married him, but go on.
What would it take you to leave a guy? What would you find in a box that would make you leave a guy?
Maybe like one of the actual like full life sex dolls, like the one with the eyes and they have the different settings. That might be a deal breaker, but a fleshlight, definitely not. 10 boxes of fleshlights, maybe. The torso, it kind of weirds me out, but again, who am I to judge? If that's what you're into, cool. But yeah, the full body doll, that's where my line might be.
Yeah. Okay. So say your guy has the torso and you're okay with it.
Yeah.
What if he dresses up the torso like a furry?
That's cool. I don't know. The furry thing kind of weirds me out, to be honest.
It should.
Like,
because
yeah, I don't know. I just think like those costumes are gonna get dirty and like go dry clean them. How often do you actually clean them? It's kind of gross to think about.
Yeah, how can you wash funky fur that's hot glued to a vest?
I think you have to dry clean it. But again, like how often are you actually doing that? Like once every time you use it? Probably not. It might never get washed. Like
yeah. Oh, since this is your first time on the podcast, don't worry about furries' feelings. You can full on dunk on them. I don't think any watch this podcast. And if they do, I'm okay with them leaving.
Yeah. If they do, please, if you're a furry and you're offended, tweet me at the Amanda West. Tell me your offenses. I will probably retweet it and laugh. To all of my 100 followers.
I hope you get a tsunami of furry dick pics in your DMs from that.
Give me all the furry dick pics.
That would make me so happy.
Me too. I'll share them with you. I don't want to repost them, but I'll send them to you and you can repost them for me.
Okay. Yeah, like as for me, like I guess it's only fair I answer the question. Like if I found 5 boxes of porn from my wife, I'd be like, whatever. Like
it's porn. Who cares? Like if you get mad about that, then you can't have your porn. So I don't care. Yeah,
exactly. And it's funny. It's like one of those last like sexist things where if a girl finds 5 boxes of porn, she's like, oh, this guy's a creep. But if a guy does, it's like, oh, sweet, maybe I could do all that creepy stuff I have been scared to bring up.
Yeah. It opens up a lot of doors, good or bad. Some
The back
conversations
door.
you had when you find your porn.
Yeah. Speaking of swollen testicles.
Great transition, Dale.
You like that? It's one of the good ones. So that's all the non-COVID content we have for this podcast. That was 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it.
That's great.
I mean, we could talk about dildos a bit more if you want. But did you hear about this Nikki Minaj thing?
I've seen the memes, and I kind of read the story, and I didn't quite. Yeah, it's gross. Why is she talking about her cousin's balls?
I love this
on the internet this week.
Yeah, I love this because it's like anytime like a famous person gets red pilled, because everybody knows I'm into conspiracies and stuff.
Sure.
And the fact that we're not really allowed to talk about like side effects of vaccines and what vaccines are doing is like just like the open book conspiracy of the time. I, for one, I'm just gonna say I have my vaccines. Even with all the side effects, it's still worth it. Get your vaccine so you don't fucking die in a hospital. You never want to be an I told you so case for anything. And there's so many people who are like railing against vaccines and then they end up dying, and you're just like, that's a bad look. Like, really, you never want your death to be embarrassing.
Yeah. I think for these guys it is. Or like, have you seen the videos of the guys, like they still don't have their vaccine, they're like on the ventilators, they're hooked up, they're like 2 seconds away from death, and they're like, I'm still not gonna get my vaccine, I don't regret it. Like, what the fuck? Like, you'd rather die? Like, what are you trying to prove? A death over getting a vaccine? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there is nothing I believe in to death. Maybe like so okay, I gotta walk that back. I can't just say that because there's stuff I would die for, but like medical treatments is not one. Like, there's those people who are like, if I'm in a bad car accident, I'm in a coma for 3 years, just unplug me. I'm like, no, tech's just getting better. Like, think of all the stuff that they'll have in 10 years from now. Hold out hope, unless I'm brain dead.
No, I don't want to be in a coma for 3 years. Like, that's just too much. Like 3 months, maybe 6 months. I think that's kind of pushing it. And yeah, just pull the plug on me. I don't want to be alive that bad, honestly.
Imagine how good cell phones will be, like smartphones will be in 10 years. And you just wake up and you're like, went there with like, what's the iPhone right now?
I have
like
no
iPhone 11, 13?
I don't know.
Well, I have a Galaxy S21. So it's like I go from that to like the Galaxy S30. And it's just like, that'd be dope. That'd be the best thing about being in a coma, is how much advanced your cell phone would be when you wake up.
For like 10 years?
Yeah.
Like, don't you think people would lose interest though? Eventually people would stop visiting you. After 10 years, they're just going to come sit beside your almost corpse for 10 years. You expect people to just keep showing up every week?
Oh no, I'm saying like I wake up
and
I come out of the coma. I'm not like, people are like every year or so, they're like, hey Dale, here's the new Galaxy that came out. And I'm just like in a coma, like not being able to register what they're doing. No, I mean like, you go into a coma and you wake up in 10 years. So it's just like there's a 10-year gap in your memory where you just, I guess that would suck because then I'd be like over 50 and my body would be like probably not bounce back from all the atrophied muscles and stuff. And I'd just be like a stick person.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like a good time. I don't want to be that surprised with new technology that I have to go to sleep for 10 years and wake up and be like, wow, that's a cool phone. I'm sure glad I'm alive. No, 10 years, it's going to be shitty. I don't want to wait for that phone.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking up this Nikki Minaj thing. I wanted to find the tweet where she was talking about her cousin's friend's balls. Because anyways.
Embarrassing. Like, you're allowed to have your opinion, but if you're that influential and you're spouting such bullshit, she needs to check herself. She has a privilege and a platform, and she's taking advantage of it and looks really fucking dumb.
Yeah, basically what she said after being, so she tweeted something about her cousins, friends, balls, and because he got vaccinated, apparently it causes ball to swell up. Because one of the things that happens with the vaccines is the spiky protein causes inflammation throughout your body, so you can have adverse side effects like, I guess, ballitis or testicleitis, where it's like you can, like, if you have like arthritis, it can flare up for like a week to a couple weeks and stuff. And I guess nobody told her about this, or I guess nobody really, like, it's one of those things where it's like we don't know because we don't want to openly talk about it and get kicked off social media. So, anyways, she found out that, and she, like, there's no, so she said that he went sterile from this, but there's no like medical confirmation from this, and we don't actually know for sure that that's why his ball swelled up. Like, we could, like, it could have been anything from like he had his boxers on and his balls flipped out the fly and then they got twisted around and then one of the tubies got like kinked, because
Yeah.
this can happen to dudes
Oh, I
where
know.
you could get like twisted ball thing and then they just swell up, or one of
Yeah.
them swells up.
And then you got to go to the hospital because you can't untwist it yourself.
Yeah, they got to go unknot them.
Sounds really painful.
That's another embarrassing thing you don't want to die from: twisted testicles. So this happens, and then she's like, "What the fuck?" And then they kick her off Twitter. And Nikki Minaj, I guess, doesn't know what happens when you speak out about COVID right now, where you just get fucking scrubbed off of social media. It happened to one of our podcasts. We got banned off YouTube. Well, I didn't get banned. We got one of our episodes taken down when we were talking about masks, when we thought COVID was over.
Oh.
We were so wrong. Remember that glorious month, July, the
Yeah.
best month of our lives, because COVID was done. We got to take off our masks and just frolic in the sunshine.
Yeah.
And then we got shit kicked again.
Now we're wearing masks everywhere.
Now we're talking about nothing but COVID again. That's the worst part. It's like you go, it kind of goes away enough so you can like start talking about like maybe what you want to do with your life, your long-term goals, your short-term goals, maybe some hobbies you want to get into, and then boom, it's just fucking COVID again. It's depressing.
It's really depressing. I need to buy some new masks because I've had the same ones all year, and I was optimistic and holding out buying new ones because I figured we don't need to wear them by now, but here we are.
You know what I highly recommend? I buy all my masks off Redbubble because I don't know if I should say this or not, because they're cloth masks, so they're easier to breathe through than some of the other masks. So I don't know if that makes them bad or good, but I think they're like the ones that are designed that you're supposed to wear like a filter underneath, but I just wear them. And we have Outrage Factory masks. You can get some of that.
I need one of those for sure.
I also have some other arts and stuff, but you can also, I would recommend, even if you don't want an Outrage Factory mask or one of my personally designed masks, you can get like, you could go and just find a different artist and like maybe get like a famous painting or something on a mask. But I like them because they're still a mask, but they're like, it's like 3 layers of fabric, but it's still like, it's not like those blue like disposable masks you wear. Those are like the worst masks ever because they have a whole bunch of like chemicals on them and stuff. I don't know if it, like, people say they have formaldehyde and stuff on them. I don't think they do, but it's like,
no,
when you buy a shirt from a store, you wash it before you wear it because you know that along the way it got covered with stuff and you don't want that. Like, masks are the same thing. Like, there's no way a mask goes through the fabrication process without getting something on it. And those disposable masks you can't really wash, but these ones you can wash. That's why I prefer fabric, because I work with them at like my job. So not only is it just my breath, but it's like grease and like dust and sparks from welding and stuff. So they like actually get dirty enough that I have to wash them and stuff. And I don't want to have to like go through a box of disposable masks every while. Let's just say I'm green. That way it makes me look good.
There you go.
I'm lowering my carbon footprint
by wearing washable masks.
Yes.
It's good. Trees, thank you.
Sorry?
The trees, thank you.
Not the fabric trees that are used to make my fabric masks.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, I guess you could do that. Oh
The
well.
cotton trees. Yeah. Um, what was it? Oh yeah, we're talking about. I was like, what were we
Oh,
talking about before I tried to sell you my masks?
I'm
Um,
sold.
Nikki Minaj. So I just wanted to say that like my favorite thing is when like because I'm a conspiracy guy. I love when like famous people get red pilled because it's like they just like realize there's this whole other world out there that they had no idea about. Like Nicki Minaj getting kicked off Twitter. She was like, I can't believe they kick you off Twitter for asking questions. Everybody should open their eyes. There's something bigger going on. And everybody's like,
Where you been the last 3 years, 10
yeah,
years?
exactly. Like what? Like, don't you remember how like we couldn't talk about how this came from a lab or you'd like lose your Twitter account? And now it's like the going theory. Like it's like I just want to go and live in their world where I don't know where any of that stuff's going on.
It would be nice just to be so oblivious.
Mm-hmm. So are you? Do you still like Nicki Minaj? Did you ever like? Were you a Nicki Minaj person?
Yeah. And I guess I'll separate it now that I still enjoy her music and respect
Mm-hmm.
she's very talented. But at the end of the day, she's an idiot. And as a personal person, I think she's stupid and I don't respect that.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not like the other things where it's like where you have like the Michael Jackson thing where you like do where you have the music and you got to separate it because they did something gross. This
Yeah.
one is just her being dumb,
Yeah.
and that's almost refreshing when you hear like drama about like a recording artist after like R was it R Kelly who peed on girls? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Underage girls.
Sorry? Ray
Under
Charles?
no,
Oh,
underage.
oh,
They were
damn.
minors. He was peeing on minors.
I thought I was gonna have to go through my grandma's record collection for a sec.
I mean, he probably did some shit too, but it was before social media and people didn't know.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So it's nice to know that you just like you don't have to worry about like that sort of thing with Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. What about
Yeah.
you? Are you a Nicki Minaj fan?
Um, I got to admit, I liked what was that? Like her first hit, the one with the speakers that go boom or something.
I don't know.
Um,
A lot of hits, a lot of music.
I'm not an R&B fella, as you could tell by the fact I called it R&B because I don't know what genre she is. She's like, is she rap or is she like R&B?
I don't know. She's music.
Okay.
I
I
don't.
like there's this old, not old, but there was like an old this guy like 10 or 20 years ago named Girl Talk did a whole bunch of mashups with rap and like rock music. And I think he sampled her. And then that's kind of like what got me into it. But
Okay.
other than that, um, oh, here's some good news. Since we're talking about COVID pretty much explicitly, hospital staff, like, you know how you keep hearing about religious exemption from getting the vaccine?
Yeah.
Do you know what that's about?
What do you mean? People,
What their religious, how they're saying it's against their religion?
it's like freedom of thinking.
It's actually, we talked about this a couple of years ago. It's something to do with there's a lot of medications where they took stem cells from these aborted fetuses like 5 years ago, and
Okay.
they just keep replicating the cells they got that time. Because obviously they're not gonna like take dead baby cells because people would lose their shit, but they keep replicating those cells and using them in different types of medication. I think that's what it was.
What?
Probably going to get in trouble from some science persons, but here, let me see if it says in this article. So the um, the religious thing was they're saying I don't want to have to take this medication because one of the things they used in these vaccines was this stem cell stuff.
Sorry, what? So the vaccines we all took have aborted fetus cells in them?
No, they have like
Replicated.
100 generation removed replicated cells from, I don't know if they're aborted fetuses or if it was like stem cells And you
Okay.
know where they get stem cells, right?
Yeah.
They're from like fetal material or like an umbilical cord
Yeah.
or the placenta or something. So it was cells from that
Okay.
that they grew in a lab, and then they like regrew them a whole bunch of times. But it's like if you go up the cells family tree, it goes back to like actual human stuff.
Okay.
So religious people are citing that. They're like, I'm not taking this because I disagree with that, because it's like there's probably a spot in the Bible where it's like, don't eat people. I haven't got to, because I've been listening to the Bible audio tape. I took a break because it got too boring, but I haven't gotten to the part where it says not to eat people.
I read it
But
once and I don't remember reading that chapter, so I don't know.
yeah, it's I got to, I think I'm on the sixth book. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one after all the Moses stuff. And I'm just like, I listen to it and I just cloud over because
Yeah.
it's so boring.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely was not my favorite book. Did not recommend that to anyone after. One
yeah,
out of six stars.
yeah, I started like listening to it because of like because I listened to this thing about the Anunnaki saying like the Nephilim in the Bible were actually alien, like half aliens, half humans and stuff. I was like, oh shit, what else did I miss in the Bible when I was going to Sunday school and they only told us the same 10 stories instead of all the cool shit? But I didn't miss much. It
No.
was just like these people doing this horrendous trek through from Egypt to Jerusalem for like 5 books of the Bible, and like it took like over 100 years, and it just seems like a terrible ordeal.
Yeah.
Like they didn't eat food. What would happen was the morning dew would leave a film on the ground, and they would like scrape it up, and it was called manna, and they would eat that.
It
And
sounds
then there's
fake made up story, honestly.
yeah. Oh, and then there's this part where these people, all the people, they're like, "Can we have some meat? Because this manna sucks." And then God's like, "Yeah, if you walk a mile that way, there's going to be a whole bunch of dead birds you can eat." So they go and they like scrape these dead quail off the desert floor, and they're like, and they start eating it, and then they all just fucking die.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
it's
what
like,
happens when you eat roadkill.
yeah, exactly. Don't eat dead birds. And it was like they were like a piled like 3 feet deep. Like there's just dead birds 3 feet deep. So obviously they fucking ate poison or like
Yeah,
drank some stale water or something.
the smell those guys must have. Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah. I can't wait to eat this pile of dead birds. It smells like a garbage dump.
Really. You have to pluck off the feathers, and they probably didn't have fire to cook it. They're just eating raw
Oh,
bird. Ugh.
yeah.
Sitting in the desert for God knows how long.
Oh, I think they died that day.
Yeah,
Like God was like, "Oh, they'll be dying tonight. Go pick them up in the morning."
cool. Well, if you're that stupid D roadkill, honestly, I think you kind of deserve to die. So,
Okay, okay, back to this like whole fetal cell line thing.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what was happening was hospital staff were okay, here, I'll everybody likes when I read out loud, right? Like,
I love when you read out loud.
oh, thanks, Amanda. A hospital system in Arkansas is making a bit more difficult for staff to receive a religious exemption from its COVID-19 vaccine mandate. The hospital is now requiring staff to also swear off extremely common medicines, such as Tylenol, Tums, and even Preparation H to get the exemption, because those are all also made with this stuff. The
Yeah,
move was prompted when Conway Regional Health System noted an unusual uptick in vaccine exemption requests that cited the use of fetal cell lines in the development and testing of the vaccines. So I don't think, I was hoping this had a little bit of background on the fetal cell line. I know Derek explained it to me once. Usually when there's like science stuff, I don't feel like Googling. I'll just get Derek and he'll Google it and tell me about it. But yeah, so the fetal cell lines were what I was explaining before. So they also use those in Tylenol, Tums, and Preparation H. So this is the good news. The hospital's like, all right, you fuckheads, if you're gonna claim you can't have the vaccine because of this, then you also can't have all the other delicious medical breakthroughs that we've made with these fetal cell lines. And sorry about your hemorrhoids, but you can't have preparation H.
I think that's fair for sure.
Yeah, it's like I love when people close up loopholes because I fucking hate loopholes so much.
Me too, because too many people find them and take advantage and ruin it for the rest of us.
Exactly. So yeah.
Then what's the next part on that story? All these people don't get their exemptions and now they're being forced to quit kind of thing?
Well, I think what's going to happen is not it seems like because it says like it's like, well, if you swear off the vaccine, you also have to swear off Tylenol, but I don't think they're going to like because we're kind of at the point where the medical system is over a barrel because they can't force anybody to quit because the medical system is like, remember that 2 weeks at the beginning of the pandemic where we were flattening the curve so that the medical system didn't break apart? That's happening again on the fourth wave. So they can't like force people to quit. So it's like this like catch-22 where it's like you should have your vaccine, but they can't force you to quit if you don't get it because hospitals are already understaffed.
What if they separated it and all the people that don't want to get the vaccine can treat the COVID patients and then everybody else can have the doctors that are safe?
I'm making you the new president of hospitals because that is the best idea ever.
Thank you.
You should definitely do that. It's like, yeah, all the people who don't get vaccines go fucking to this one gross broken down wing of the hospital and fucking touch each other and do whatever nurses do to patients.
Yeah. Okay.
Although if my complete understanding of medical science is correct, I think that's how you get variants is you have unvaccinated people just fucking being in a slurry of COVID and it just like because the Delta variant came from India where they didn't have the vaccine as soon as everywhere else and they had like an explosion. So it was like there was so much COVID touching other COVID that it mutated. Is that how the science of this works?
You're asking me? You know,
yeah.
I don't know. What?
I got here. Let's pitch a side podcast.
All right.
You and me, who know nothing about science, will talk about science all day and just like make assumptions and make like cartoon explanations of how we think the science works.
I think we could do that. We could definitely get sponsored for that. People definitely hate us for everything, but let's do it. At least for a couple weeks. See how.
I mean, it would kind of be worth it. So we'll start with how COVID variants are made, and that's just from the slurry of COVID touching other COVID. And then the next week we'll do string theory, which is the universe is made of strings, right? That's how.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Right? I mean, I bet people would love to hear that.
Definitely at least 2 people would watch the live stream for that, I think.
You and me would be there. We'd be too.
We're watching ourselves live as it happens. This is the viewership right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry. I'm just looking at a comment we just got about Andrea was saying her friend's brother had a twisted nut.
What happened?
She said, I will never forget my friend's brother when we were 13, just wailing in agony the whole drive home from a hotel we all stayed in with her family. I didn't know much about nuts then, but he went to the ER when they got home. Oh, there's more. See more. He went to the ER when they got home and he was very forward about telling us they had to untwist his nut.
Oh. How do you go in and do that? Like, do you just like massage it and kind of roll it? Because like they don't cut it open and like untwist it, right?
I don't know. Maybe it's like that girl who could tie a cherry stem into a knot with her mouth does that backwards on the nuts.
Maybe.
No. I don't know, but you trying to explain how they untwist nuts would probably get us a lot more likes on the internet.
As someone who does not have a ball sack, let me tell you how this thing works.
Hey, this is episode 3 of our science podcast where we talk about science that we don't know about.
Science
And
balls.
yeah, untwisting nuts and how you would do that.
I don't know. But if I had to guess, you just kind of, I don't know.
Exactly. Oh, I lied. It's not all going to be about COVID anymore. I got something that's un-COVID related. Did you
Okay.
see this Deviousl Licks thing?
Oh my God. Yes. Yes, I did. This one I'm familiar with. Kids are fucking stupid and
Yeah,
parents
they are.
do a better job because I wouldn't even think of doing that as a child. So my parents raised me better than that. It's the kids are part of the problem. The bigger problem, it's the parents. Do better.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna pull up this news article about Deviousl Licks. The worst part is that these kids are calling it Deviousl Licks. Like it just makes it sound like they're trying to like sound English and musical or something. I don't know.
I
Like,
thought it was a licking challenge until I clicked on it and realized what actually was happening. Like, why would they
yeah,
call it that? It's stupid.
I don't know. Like I heard Devious Licks challenge and I was like, it reminded me of like when the pandemic first started and there's that TikTok challenge about licking toilets. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
that's what
gross,
I
are they
thought.
licking toilets again? And then the subhead was bathrooms in high schools are getting destroyed from the Devious Licks challenge. You're like, wait, how hard are these licking these toilets? Like, what the fuck are they doing? But this is something BC can be proud of.
No, it's
And
embarrassing.
BC's always dunking on the rest of Canada like we're like the good province when we're just as big fucking idiots as everyone else. So it's a TikTok challenge. Sorry, I just assumed that when I say the challenge, people would assume it's on TikTok because that's where the world's dumbest minds go to make up challenges, like the milk crate challenge last month.
I wish that that one stuck around a little longer. I got so much joy out of those videos. It was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
like it's like amateur jackass. It's like what did you think was gonna happen?
yeah.
Do you know what they should have done? All these people who are doing the Devious Licks challenge should have had to do the milk crate challenge before they did the Devious Licks.
They probably did. It's the same group of idiots.
I know. Yeah. High school boys are the dumbest people ever. I guess I should actually explain what the Devious Licks challenge is for
Yeah.
people who are screaming at their monitor for the last 10 minutes.
What is
I
a
just
devious lick?
would say a Devious Licks. Fuck.
Hold on, let me just Google. What's a devious lick?
Don't Google that on your work computer.
I do it on my cell phone.
Oh, there you go. Because I'm pretty sure you're gonna find porn. So, so these students in BC over TikTok, they started a challenge called the Devious Licks, and I guess the term lick means doing crime with a benefit, like you
There's no
steal
benefit.
something, like the soap dispensers. So what they do is they're stealing the soap dispensers or destroying the schools or like destroying like the stalls, like they kick them over and stuff, and they tape it on TikTok, which you think would make this the shortest challenge ever, because when you make a crime on social media and you post it, couldn't the cops just be like, oh look, there's this person, I'm going to go to their house and arrest them?
That's what
Because
I'm wondering. Like, why
yeah,
can't they do that?
yeah, and then they could be like, well, it wasn't me doing it. Be like, okay, who was it? Because we have you aiding and abetting a crime because you're taping it and giggling like a little girl while your friend kicks over the bathroom stall. So tell us who did it, or we'll charge you. Or I guess they would charge their parents because this is all like high school kids.
Yeah.
And the funny part was, well, not the funny part. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a news story about like they before they knew what the challenge was, they were just like, why are these high school kids destroying the bathrooms? Because it was kind of like a thing where they're like, when people got back to school, they just started wrecking the toilets, and they're like, wow, maybe they're just upset like everybody else that the world is fucking turning into an apocalypse. and they're taking it out on the bathroom toilets.
That's not fair. And they're all underfunded as it is. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? What is the goal? You take the soap dispenser. Now 4,000 people can't wash their hands. You just
Yeah,
the bathroom. Now I can't use the bathroom on the 3rd floor. I got to go all the way to the 2nd floor because there's no bathroom anymore. It's just stupid.
And like one guy like tried to steal a toilet. So there's like a news article like 2 weeks ago where it was like there was just like a toilet knocked over. He's just like, because toilets, all you got to do to take them off the floor is there's just 2 bolts holding them down.
Oh.
Because they're not designed for anti-theft. They're only designed like their weight's gonna hold them there, and the bolts are just to hold them steady so they don't rock and leak. So all you need to do is undo those two nuts, and they're not even that big of nuts. And then, but nobody do that, and definitely don't tell them that Dale sent you, and don't do it at home because you'll just spill toilet water everywhere.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, the back of your toilet is full of water and the bowl of your toilet is full of water. And if you undo all those 2 nuts on the floor of your toilet, all that water that's in the bowl is going all over your floor.
Makes sense.
So unless you have the cleanest, most pristine toilet and a bathroom with a drain right beside the toilet, you're not going to want to have all that water in your bathroom.
No, that's going to make a mess.
Yeah. It's going to end up being pretty terrible.
See, I like the milk crate challenge over this one because at least that one was funny and entertaining. This one, you just see it and you're like, why? It's destructive. It's not funny. It's just sad.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, like the milk crate challenge, the people who are suffering are the idiots because they're the ones doing it. Whereas this one, it's like the idiots are making people who want to wash their hands suffer.
Yeah. And then the school board has to pay for it, and they're already underfunded and can't afford pencils. Like, it's just stupid.
Yeah, and they had to put all this extra money into COVID, like COVID. Oh God, I can't think of the word. Like making their school COVID proof. What's that?
Safety protocols.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's a nice big word for you. Yeah, they had to spend all this money on COVID protocols. And now they have to go buy more soap dispensers with money they don't have, like you've said numerous times.
Yeah.
It's just terrible.
Go back to the milk crates.
Exactly. No more Deviousl Licks, kids.
No more licking anything.
I mean, at least when they were licking the toilets, they weren't breaking them.
Yeah. Okay. How much money would someone have to pay you to go into whatever your local high school is at 3:00 end of the day and lick the toilet seat? How much money?
You couldn't.
$5 million?
Oh yeah, I would do it for $5 million.
Would you do it for $500,000? Like you have to lick like 5 inches. Like it has to be. It's not just like a poke. You gotta like lick it.
Boys' room or girls' room?
Boys.
Oh, it's so much worse. Not for pervert reasons, but because boys are dirtier than girls.
Yeah.
So, and I can't just fucking Listerine it or anything.
You can Listerine after.
Just Listerine the inside of my mouth. For 500 grand, I would do it because then I could buy a house. That would be like a good down payment and a chunk of the mortgage. And if I got dysentery, like the worst case scenario is, well, I guess the worst case scenario is you get COVID and you die. But the next worst case scenario is you get like dysentery and you get sick for a couple weeks. Or you'd get pinworms, but then you could just take some deworming medication, which has been in the news lately.
It sure has.
Because Joe Rogan took some ivermectin when he got COVID.
Like, can we just cancel him already?
No, I love Joe Rogan.
All right.
I thought this was good because it's like everybody had that joke about how ivermectin is horse dewormer and stuff. And ivermectin is in horse dewormer, but Joe Rogan is a classy bitch and he ain't taking horse dewormer. He's taken like doctor prescribed high test like Zika virus ivermectin.
Oh,
And
okay.
like it's not good because like I don't know, like I want to see more studies and stuff done on ivermectin because it's like people keep saying like, oh, ivermectin can be doing good. And then other people are like, yeah, but there's no studies or anything on it. It's like, we'll fucking do some studies. Like we're kind of grasping at straws right now. And my whole thing is I don't want people to use ivermectin to from stop them from getting COVID. Is I want people to use ivermectin to maybe help get rid of the side effects from the vaccine. Because one of the things about ivermectin, supposedly, this is me not knowing science and stuff, but I've heard ivermectin can help fight the inflammation that comes from like the spiky protein. So if you have these anti-vaxxers and you're like, take the vaccine and then take ivermectin and it'll get rid of all the side effects you're so worried about. Then you get more people taking the vaccine.
Think you're onto something, Dale.
And it's a win-win.
That's a win-win for sure. Even if it doesn't work, just tell them it does and then just get them to do it. And yeah, then everybody's vaxxed. And then you don't even need to take it because we're all fine.
Exactly. And then like, and if it doesn't work, nobody cares because it was anti-vaxxers and they took the vaccine.
Yeah.
So there you go. One thing though that bugged me about the Joe Rogan thing was all of the like reputable news sources that were like just proved that they don't give a fuck about actual news and just wanted to be salacious. Like NBC and CNN were like, oh, Joe Rogan took horse dewormer. And it was like, no, he didn't. He took like the actual stuff. So you just make yourself sound stupid when you say that like this guy who's worth $300 million would take the like Arkansas peasant ivermectin when he can get to the good stuff. What do you think about that?
I think we should just let everyone take it and see what happens. You want to take that? Not FDA approved for human consumption?
Yeah, it is.
Figure it out. Is it?
Ivermectin won like a Nobel Prize in 2015. Like the ivomectin, which is like, so there's like two things. Ivermectin is this drug they use for like Zika virus and like river blindness and like deworming and stuff. It's like, it's kind of like we don't know much about it because it's a third world disease, or it's a third world drug because they use it to treat all the gross shit they get over there that we don't have over here. Like we don't have like river blindness is this thing where if you go, they call it river blindness because it's like you go in the river and then there's like a viral organism that acts like cataracts in your eyes and it just like replicates in your eyes and it causes blindness. So these like tribes that lived, I think it was like the Amazon River, like their elders were all going blind and then they started giving them ivermectin and it cleared it up and then they could see again. So like that's what this drug was. But then you have ivomectin, which is super concentrated ivermectin mixed with some other crazy shit that you need it super strong because it's for cattle and horses and cows are super robust. So to get something to break through their like immune system enough to kill the worms inside their guts, you basically got to make like the like Superman version of it. So I forgot where I was going with this. But yeah, like it's like one thing that's pissing me off is it's like it's not this like weird fake thing that doesn't exist that people are like, yeah, ivermectin, that's not real. You can't take that. It's like, well, it is and it isn't. Like maybe we should start talking about it so that we can like convince these people scientifically that it's bad. Because if you take this one that won the Nobel Peace Prize because it helped third world countries get rid of their like weirdo viruses they got from the water. If you take that and you take it to a first world country and you do all these tests on it and then you prove it does nothing, then I'll believe you. But they keep being like, oh, all these tests they did in third world countries doesn't mean anything because they had faulty testing things. And you're like, well, yeah, they're third world countries. Maybe get it into our super dope science hospital stuff and then do some tests.
Well,
and that's my ivermectin. Yeah. So it's like you hear that and then you're like, well, maybe anti-vaxxers have a point with this ivermectin thing. And then they go into a school and then you're like, fuck every anti-vaxxer, get them out of here. They just ruined any last shred of goodwill they had.
They didn't have any, but yeah, I think that was the last straw.
Yeah. Like I was like, up until a point, I was like, look, everybody has a choice. But if you have like comorbidities, you should definitely get vaccinated so you don't fuck up our hospitals. But if you're like a person who's, if you get COVID, you're not going to like get super sick, then whatever, get COVID and get over it. But there's nobody like that anymore because everybody who would have got COVID and wouldn't get sick kind of already got it in the last 2 years. And then, yeah, so, um, do you want to talk about this people going into the school thing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
these guys are fucking idiots.
So I just got all hot and bothered from the ivermectin talk. I'm like, ooh, it's hot here.
No, I think it's inappropriate. Like, leave the kids alone. They're vulnerable as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Stay away from everybody. Stay away from hospitals. Stay away from the kids. Just stay at home and be stupid on your computer. Don't go outside.
Yeah, and the worst part about this has happened in mine and Derek's hometown. Like this happened in Ranchero and Salmon Arm. And like you don't fuck with the kids on anything. Like you could do your shitty fucking protests outside of the courthouse. I had a problem with them doing it in front of the hospital because it blocks traffic. So I'm not okay with that. But as soon as you talk or even think about going into the fucking school, okay, remember at the beginning when I was like, I wouldn't die for anything?
Yeah.
The kids are something I'd die for.
That's
like, if you're fucking with the kids, I'm not okay with that. And you should fuck right off. And there's going to be a problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really it makes no sense because it's like, you're like, wow, all these people think I'm crazy and they don't want to listen to my opinion. I better go into this school and make sure nobody listens to my fucking opinion.
Just like the thought process that, okay, yeah, the hospitals, everyone was really angry about. So let's go to the schools. That's going to be the solution here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, do we want to know exactly what happened?
Sure.
So they entered 3 schools. A school district in BC Southern Interior says all schools in its zone will be in lockdown mode on Monday after COVID-19 vaccine protesters entered 3 schools on Friday and served a notice of liability. What? School District 83, which covered. All right. So wait, I have a problem here. Like, did they like protest in the school or they just go to the school and drop off a note?
They were probably protesting. Like, they're not going to be just, oh, here's our letter, read it to the kid. They're going to go in and they're going to cause a fucking scene. They probably had signs. They definitely weren't wearing masks.
Yeah. Although
like, there's some rule, like you can't just walk into schools if you don't go there, right?
Oh yeah, it says on Wednesday approximately 15 people showed up at the school district office wanting to speak to the superintendent. And then they talked for 2 hours. Woof. That's too long to talk to fucking protesters.
Way too long.
And then okay, that was on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, demonstrators returned. Wait, so I'm gonna find out if that was this week or last week. Oh, that was this week. Okay. So on Wednesday, they go to the district office and they're like, hey, you want to talk to the dumbest people you know for 2 hours?
No.
You don't? Okay. How about this? We were talking about me licking the toilet seat for 500 grand. Would you talk to 15 vaccine protesters for 2 hours for 500 grand?
Absolutely.
Okay. 200 grand.
Yeah.
For free.
No. I do it for like 5 grand.
Yeah. I mean, you got to talk to, like, it'd be like a job at that point. Oh, just what, like, I can't even imagine the questions they'd ask.
I feel like wouldn't be questions. They would all just be yelling at the same time.
So it would be like if we had 15 people on this podcast.
Yeah. Everybody talking at once.
All talking over each other, like The View or one of those shows.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at the article. Oh. Okay. I think what it was because they want to get like, because the whole thing was that 12 and unders can't get vaccinated and 13 and olders can. So they're trying to get to these kids to tell them not to get vaccinated because they're scared their parents are going to tell them the right thing to do.
Like, do any of these people even have kids at those schools?
No.
Probably not.
I mean, how embarrassing would that be? You're in like high school, 13, quick math. What's that, grade 8 and 9?
Yeah.
So say you're in grade 10. You're fucking just doing your social work, talking about urbanization and how all the peasants left the farms and moved to the cities because that's all you learn about in Canadian history. Don't learn about anything important. And then your fucking dad shows up with 14 of his buddies ranting and hollering and telling everybody not to get vaccinated. And then you're just the guy with the crazy parents for the rest of your high school career.
I would transfer schools.
Oh my God. I would. Yeah. Transfer schools for sure. Although I think that nowadays something like this would follow you. Because if you're in Salmon Arm and you're in high school, because Salmon Arm has one high school, they have a couple junior highs. Enderby has a high school. Armstrong has a high school. Maybe Chase would be the next one. And then Vernon. You're going to have to go pretty far to get out of that heat.
Yeah.
But if your dad did that to you, it would be worth an hour bus ride every morning to just not have to deal with the social fallout. Oh. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading this again. So it says, okay. Nothing really happened. It just says they showed up at the school. The security guard stopped them and then called the RCMP. And then the RCMP came and took everybody away.
Good.
So, I mean, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Like, I thought they were like fucking hooting and hollering through the hallways of the school, but I guess they just wanted to go there and like talk the kids out of getting vaccinated, which is wrong. I mean, this is like the fucking paradox of reasoning for anti-vaxxers because they're like, I should be allowed to make my choice, but they want to convince everybody else to make the same choice they did. Like, if your choice to do this or not is so important, why don't you let other people make that choice too? And the problem is 80% of other people made the choice to do it, even though you think you have good reasons. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like a reasoning why. Like, I think maybe the anti-vaxxers in BC are so much worse than anybody else is because we have such a high vaccine rate. Like,
are we worse?
Sorry?
Are we actually worse?
Like, our anti-vaxxers? You don't hear about anti-vaxxers going into the schools in Alberta or Ontario or anything, do you?
Well, we don't hear about it here, but maybe locally there's coverage. Like, there's so much that happens day to day that we never even hear about in other provinces.
That's a very good point, Amanda. I feel like,
Alberta.
although you might be correct, I feel like people going into like, this is such a big deal, it might have hit the national media level and then we'd hear about it.
Maybe.
But yeah.
I see Albertans are going in and doing stupid shit.
Albertans are just all going to the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Because they got effed by the fourth wave. I guess old Jason Kenney's plan of just like after, like, because you remember at the beginning of the podcast when we were talking about the like glorious month that was July.
Yeah.
When we got to take our masks off and just frolic in the wilderness. Jason Kenney did that. He just fucking disappeared and nobody heard from him for like 2 months. And then at the end of August, he came back to basically the province being on metaphorical fire, because BC was on actual fire,
Yeah.
but Alberta was on like COVID fire, where it was just like it was all shitting itself. He's like, oh fuck. Apparently ignoring a problem for 2 months isn't the best answer. And then he was like, okay, everybody, you have to wear a mask. And then they fucking did like, they brought all this, because his plan was, I'm not fucking doing anything. We're done talking about COVID. We're just going to deal with whatever comes up. And he went super hands off. And he was like, he was taking stances like when we brought our mask mandate back. When was that? The halfway through August?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Every day just blurs together, I can tell you.
That's true. So I think it was about, I'm going to say halfway because that gives me a little leeway period to finagle. So we get our mask mandate back halfway through August in BC. Alberta's like, we're not doing that. And then we start doing our vaccine passport talk, and they're like, fuck vaccine passports. We're not doing that. And then Alberta just like shit hit the fan. They're like, okay, we're doing masks. We're doing the vaccine passport. Can somebody else take some of our patients because we fucked ourselves? And then like BC said, no, we're not going to take your ICU patients. And I think Quebec said no. Well, I guess you can't really send them to Quebec because that's so far anyway. Okay, I have a question for you, Amanda. How do you feel about Horgan telling Kennedy to go fuck himself? He didn't say that. He was like, we're not taking your patients.
I think that's great. Absolutely. Jason Kenney fucked himself. Now he can deal with the consequences. And obviously, there's a lot of innocent people that are involved and affected.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. But at the same time, deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's about time we have like the big grown-up discussion, because me and my older brother lives in Calgary. He's not one of these people. He's like double vax. I feel like now I just got to tell everybody that everyone I know is vax, so I don't get the stank of anti-vaxxer on me. After like before, I was like I could know anti-vaxxers and be like, oh, they're making a choice. But the whole school thing now, I'm like, keep your stank off me. But because he's like, I don't get why Alberta's doing so much worse than BC, because they should have like, I think they're roughly the same amount of vaccinated. They have like the same amount of tests and stuff, but their like positive cases are going through the roof. And it's like, do we finally have the discussion 2 years after the start of COVID about health and natural defenses against COVID?
Yeah, I mean, we should have been having those conversations 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Stay home, wear a mask, get vaccinated. Easy.
Yeah, but now that Delta's ripping through the vaccines, it's like we also got to start talking about, okay, work on some of those core comorbidities. And on one hand, COVID couldn't have come at a worse time for how PC we are and how like we don't want to fat shame anybody. We don't want to talk about people's lifestyles. But it's like now it's like if you're obese, you kind of should be taking like supplemental vitamins and stuff and maybe getting your immune system robust to like fight off stuff. What do you think about that? Do you think it's time we start finally talking about that? Like,
yeah, I think it goes for everybody, not just people that, I don't know, like we all should be taking care of ourselves, because if we're all healthy taking our vitamins, then everybody else is gonna be healthy taking their vitamins.
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is
always time to talk about that. If I can take care of yourself and then you won't get sick.
Yeah. Like I went on a vitamin regiment. I don't know. I kind of lapsed a little bit lately. Like I haven't been taking them every day, but I started taking like omegas, vitamin C, vitamin D, a multivitamin, some dumb gout pills that have nothing to do with anybody else unless you have gout. And then, yeah, even that, like I felt like was a good idea to do, but it's like, and then it's like, it's funny because it's like Joe Rogan, like I learned to do that because I was listening to Joe Rogan. So it's like anytime you're like, hey, maybe we should all start taking vitamins, people are like, who told you, Joe Rogan and stuff. So it's kind of like,
well, he did.
Yeah.
But hey, you listened and you're doing it and you probably feel a lot better for it.
I do. But it's funny because it's like I don't know. It's like we're gonna get in this big existential conversation about how, depending on who shares knowledge, we value that much. We give a certain value to the knowledge and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe this is the wrong place to do this. Like an hour into the podcast, start talking about the nature of like wiseness, wisdom.
Who do you think is more credible, Joe Rogan or Nicki Minaj?
Joe Rogan.
Is that just because he has a podcast? Like if Nicki Minaj was pulling the same kind of numbers? Yeah,
I think if Nikki Minaj had a podcast, she'd probably get better numbers. But one of the reasons I trust Joe Rogan's medical opinion is because at this point he's deathly afraid of aging. So he's like doing like HGH treatments. He's always talking about doing stem cells. He's like going into the sauna. He's doing like ice baths. He's basically doing everything he possibly can to fight off the Reaper. So he's like trying to extend his lifespan because I don't know why he's just like terrified of dying. So he's like compulsively working out and all this stuff and trying to stay healthy and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go as batshit crazy as Joe Rogan is, but he is in his mid 50s and he is still ripped and he looks like he's doing pretty good. So I'm going to listen to his medical advice.
Well, I mean, he also is worth so many millions and probably has a dietitian and somebody feeding him the right food and somebody that's working out with him and training him. And it's more than just him taking his vitamins for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first time I ever heard about kombucha was from Joe Rogan.
Oh,
he was like, do I like kombucha? Yeah. Now, I didn't at first. The first time I took a sip, I was like, this tastes like sour beer. Like it tastes like beer that's rotten. But I don't know. I'm not going to say you have to like force yourself through it, but it's like, it's something that, I don't know, once I realized it was good for all the probiotics and stuff, like you could get the same effect from like sauerkraut or kimchi or other like fermented stuff. So do you like any of that stuff?
I like kimchi.
Yeah, so eat kimchi. It'll have the same benefit as kombucha and it's tastier.
That is true.
You could get sauerkraut as well.
I do like that on the hot dogs.
Well, if you like those other, why don't you like kombucha? What about kombucha don't you like?
I don't know. I just don't like the taste. It tastes like not spicy, but there's just something a little bit off about it. Maybe it's the fermented something.
Yeah.
I'd rather eat a whole jar of kimchi than drink it.
I guess also too, like some of the kombucha flavors are worse than others.
Yeah.
Like some of them are like, I don't know, it's like you said, it's like a weird burning sensation, I guess. Yeah. Like if you get the ginger, the ginger one, then it's like pretty. But if you get like the mango flavored, it's all right.
I don't know which ones I've tried. I don't drink it anymore. I buy them sometimes just to be like, oh, this is healthy. This will be good. And then I force myself to drink it because I paid $6 for it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like fucking $6. It's like the most expensive pop you're ever going to have. And you're like, this fucking better be good for me. Otherwise, I'm wasting all this money.
Yeah, and it tastes like shit. But I can buy a giant jar of kimchi for $4. Like, I'd rather eat the kimchi.
Or you could eat yogurt too. Like yogurt has probiotics, or you could even take like a probiotic pill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny because it was like a while ago, Joe Rogan was always talking about gut flora. And I was like, oh, gut flora this, gut flora this. And my friends were like, shut up. Nobody cares about gut flora. And then like 5 years later, people were like, oh, gut flora is a thing. But it's like super crazy if you get right down into like talking about gut flora. It's like supposedly it can affect your personality. So it's like one of the reasons they say when people like the term hangry, like the reason you're angry is because all of your little gut floras are like starving and they're kind of like attacking each other and your body knows something's wrong. So you get like angry and aggressive. And it might be like a thing in dudes more than women because it's like dudes, we have all this wiring from when we were cavemen. Because like I've said this before on the podcast, but it's like we were hunter gatherers / cavemen for like what, 1,000,000 years.
I don't
And we
know.
okay. I'm just gonna guess.
Sure, 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, 1,000,000, or basically compared to what we do modern, like modern lifestyle where we wear clothes and we turned into an agrarian where we turned into farmers and grew stuff. Like the time we were hunter and gatherers, the amount of time humans were that compared to what we are agrarian was super long. So we have all this like inbuilt like reptilian brain, because one of the things about humans is we have such big brains that hold so much knowledge that we kind of have this stuff. It's kind of like when you buy a computer, it has all these programs already built in. Like our brains have some stuff that's already built in, and they say this is like where the fear of dark comes from. Because when you were like caveman, if you were in the dark, you would get killed by like a panther, or like a monster that hunted at, not a monster. I just or like a predator that hunted at night.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
like
So
for sure.
my main point was, before I got into that, was maybe dudes have a higher sense of hangry, because when we were hungry as cavemen, it was more likely the dude's job to get meat. So we would get angry and aggressive. So we would like be more willing to kill cuter animals to eat them. Cause like if you're well fed and you see like a baby deer, you're like, fuck, I'm not killing that baby deer. It's so cute. Just let him go. But if you're like hangry and your friends are hangry and you're like just pissed off because you're all angry and you're like so hungry, and then you see a baby deer, you're like, well, it is cute, but I'm pretty hungry. So that's why we get hangry.
Okay. I don't know about that, but
What?
okay.
You're not buying it, Amanda? Come on.
Sounds good. Sure. I
Basically,
personally wouldn't want to kill the baby deer just because I feel like that would be a waste of energy. Like if I could get angry and kill the big one and have 3 meals versus the 1 meal of the baby deer, I just always going to go for the big one.
That's good. Okay. My scenario is not that there's a big deer and a little deer. It's that,
You're more inclined to
yeah.
beat up little cute things when you're angry.
Yeah. Cause like if you were like you said, like the effort to reward ratio, it is way better to kill the big deer, because a little deer can run almost as fast as a big deer. So catching it's going to be just as hard. But if you get a big deer, like you said, you get a lot more meat for your friends and stuff. And then that little deer can grow into a big deer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to kill a deer.
I don't want to kill a deer. One thing I love about society right now is like, it's like you think about it, you're like, oh, we're like, a lot of us have like existential crisis, and we have all these like kind of like mental problems because we have problems with like self-worth and if we're contributing enough and if we're going to leave a legacy behind. But we don't have to go kill deer in the fucking woods in fucking shoes we made out of the last deer we killed. We got to just go to Save On and get meat.
It might be fun to go out and kill a deer.
Sounds like a lot of work. I mean,
going to the gym and doing the punching bag, getting all my aggression out at the gym. Gonna go kill a deer, take all my aggression out on another life.
That's true.
And then I can make deer sausage. I can smoke it, make some jewelry out of the bones, nice jacket out of the hide. Yeah, I think it would be a lot more rewarding, and that maybe I would trade Twitter to be a deer hunter.
Oh my God, that would be the best if it's like the Amanda West just disappears and everyone's like, what happened to Amanda? I'd be like, oh, we heard she got into hunting. And then it's like, oh, maybe let's check in. You like look on Twitter, you're not there. You like check Facebook, you're not there. You're like, wow, she's like a ghost now because she's not on social media, so we don't know. And then we see you a year later and you're like wearing a suede jacket you made yourself with all this like jewelry you were just talking about, and you like turn into this like earthen hunting goddess.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
The cabin in the woods, my pet bear. I think that would be a good life. No cell service.
Dude, a pet bear? Now you're talking.
Yeah.
That
You
would
just
be the
gotta feed it.
best.
Yeah, feed it some deer meat. Let it know that you don't want to hurt it, and that you'll feed it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to domesticate a bear, but if I had to guess, I'd start feeding it.
Oh, and then in the winter, you just like let it sleep inside your cabin. Do you know how cozy it would be to
Yeah,
snuggle up to a hibernating bear and just
yeah,
like sleep inside a cabin for the winter months?
that'd be pretty good.
I mean, you're selling me on this.
It would probably smell, but I think it'd be really cozy. Good.
Or it would smell like puppies. We don't know what bears smell like. I mean, people probably do.
I
You
know what
probably
a
smell
bear
good.
hide smells like. Like my dad used to have one. It was like a rug, and it had the head on it, and then the teeth. So I know what that smells like.
Yes.
It just smells like a fur coat. Like it just smells like an animal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Maybe since it's a domesticated bear, you could wash it with like lavender soaps and stuff.
it's a lot of soap. Bear's really big. It has a lot of fur.
Yeah, but it would be worth it. Like, what else are you going to do with the fat from your deer? You could render it into soap, mix it with some wild lavender,
It's a good idea.
give your old bear a shampoo so while he's hibernating, he doesn't stink. Oh,
Yeah.
imagine just fucking lighting your cabin up with bear farts.
Ew.
That would be the worst.
Yeah.
How do we got to do this? That'd be the best.
I'll live stream it. Me and my bear.
It's just you like sleeping on a bear. It'll be like, you know, that channel that has the firewood with the logs and stuff. It'll be
Yeah.
like that. And then in the foreground, it'll just be you sleeping on a bear.
Perfect.
That would be the coziest thing ever.
I would watch that channel.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to live that channel soon.
I will. Next year.
You said it on a podcast. Now you have to do it. That's how the rules work. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? I feel like this might have been Dale heavy where I kind of talked at you too much. So
It's all right. I enjoyed it. It was good. There's nothing I want to talk about.
okay, good. Yeah, because I always hate when I talk too much. Wow, I love the sound of my own voice, so I don't actually hate it. I just feel a bit guilty that I didn't let the guests talk as much.
No, that's okay. You picked all those topics, and I was like, cool. I know what some of this is. So the big one was the Deviousl Licks. So
Yeah, that would be a wicked like that. When you say Deviousl Licks, it sounds like a Dead Mouse song.
yeah, it sounds like something.
Like it sounds like EDM from 2005.
Let's search it, see what comes up on Spotify. Do you think it's an actual track?
It's got to be. Yeah. Ooh, maybe it'd be some sweet EDM mixed with jazz, like Pretty Lights or something.
Ooh.
That'd be good.
Oh yeah, there's some songs.
Nice. By
He's
who?
an artist. Oh, it's a playlist. Oh, never mind. It's a podcast. It's not an actual song or artist. It's just the name of a playlist. But now I'm curious. Now I want to listen to it, find out what's up.
I'm going to look that up too. Wait, did you say it was a podcast as well?
Yeah, on Spotify.
Called Deviousl Licks or an episode of the podcast?
Well, I didn't look that hard.
Okay, I'm looking. I'm Googling it now. You got my curiosity piqued. And I don't know. I feel like we got to do the listeners a service and tell them what it is. Oh, there's a song, Deviousl Licks. It's got Israfil and Young PCP.
Come up on mine.
There's an artist called Devious Liquor.
Gross.
Yeah, let me see how much they have. One song, and it's probably not that great. Where is this podcast you were talking about? Okay, there's a podcast called Deviousl Licks, but it's from Anchor. That's actually where the Dale Show is based out of, is off Anchor. So Anchor is like it's like its whole thing is it's a podcast based podcast hosting website that automatically, it's like kind of I don't know if it's made by, why did I sound, oh my God, I just forgot the name of this program. I'm an
What?
idiot.
Where?
Spotify. I don't, this is what happens to my brain an hour into the podcast is I forget about stuff. So Anchor, I don't know if it's made by Spotify or if it's kind of like just like sponsored by Spotify, but it's like you make an Anchor podcast and it automatically goes up to Spotify. So I'm just telling you that because this podcast named Deviousl Licks by Jason Harder, which has 2 episodes. One September 16th, that's 6 minutes. One September 17th, that's 6 minutes.
Wow.
One says we talk about contemporary literature, and one says we talk about mental health. Hopefully that's just a trailer because nobody wants to listen. Like a 6 minute podcast, you're like, they want to talk about mental health. And then you look at the time and you're like, that's barely enough to wet my beak. I don't want to fucking click on this if it's just going to be 6 minutes worth. But they have a picture of a cute dog for their artwork. So
oh, that's nice. I like cute dogs.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do after this podcast? I'm going to go listen to Deviousl Licks.
All right, you do that.
And in the show notes, so if you're live streaming this on YouTube or on Facebook, sorry, we've kind of been ignoring you the whole time.
How many people are on? Can you see?
Yeah, I'm going to look right now. Yeah, Kate Cranley was on 45 minutes ago. And she said, hi, guys, bye, guys. And my girlfriend was watching for a bit, but sorry, I kind of got wrapped up into talking about what I was talking about and looking at my own face. But I will put a note in the show notes if this show is good because I talked about it. You guys all want a natural conclusion. You want to know. You're emotionally attached to if Deviousl Licks is good or not, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I would like to know, but I don't care enough to listen myself. But I want you to tell me about it, Dale.
Exactly. I'm here to do that service for you. I will go into the podcast trenches and listen to 6 minutes of Deviousl Licks and let you know if it's good.
Nice.
All right. I think we talked about enough. We're good.
Yeah, I think we read the whole list.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Thank you so much for having me. 4 years after the beginning of this, you finally invited me. Thank you.
Sometimes it's kind of like wishy-washy because sometimes I'm like, I should invite this person, but I'm like, would they want to come on?
No.
Sometimes.
No, I don't.
Well, you did. So.
Where's my mug?
Yeah. That's in the mail. I gotta get a new batch of them going. Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Dale.
Fun. Yeah, no problem.
Matching shirts with me. It's been extra fun.
I'm just pumped to know that there's another teal pink flamingo connoisseur out there in the world.
My favorite.
I'm not alone anymore.
Next time we get together, we need to coordinate our outfits.
Yes. Next time there's like a social meetup of something, or we see each other, we'll just have to be like, we'll have to do that like school thing where like, what outfit are you gonna wear? And then we could be shirt bros or shirt buds. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Dale. It's been nice.
Until next week, stay angry.